Welcome back, Summoners, to another ProGuides mid-patch analysis video. My name is Kellen, and today I'll be going over all of the strongest champions using fresh stats to give you the most accurate tier list possible. We encourage all of our viewers to comment on our tier list and champion placements and say if you agree or disagree with us on certain champions. A lot has changed since the beginning of patch 9.9, and there is a lot to cover, so let's jump right into it. Before we get into the video today, make sure that you're always pressing that bell button and subscribing to our channel. That way you're always up to date with the content that we're producing. We're producing a lot of videos right now every single day, so having that bell button on and subscribing to our channel will mean that you'll always have it ready and available right there for you. For the top lane tier list, our mid-patch analysis video sees a couple of changes compared to our previous one that we had at the start of the patch. There were a lot of balance changes made to top laners in patch 9.9, but our analysts were almost spot on predicting the top lane meta. Starting off in the top lane S tier, we have the same 6 champions that we listed at the start of the patch, which are Darius, Riven, Jax, Urgot, Vladimir, and Renekton. Darius and Renekton specifically recently received some buffs to their kit, which made their win rate skyrocket. Our challenger analysts recommend you pick up these 2 champions if you are in gold or below, because they are extremely powerful right now and quite easy to play relative to the other top lane champions. Next up, we have Riven. Riven is still a powerful pick for patch 9.9, but she is confirmed to be receiving a nerf for patch 9.10. So for all of you Riven haters out there, you can finally take a sigh of relief and just patiently wait for the nerfs to come in. Also, in our previous OP Korean builds video that just came out a couple of days ago, we mentioned an OP Riven build which involves purchasing a ton of crit items like Essence Reaver and Infinity Edge, so go check out that video so you can abuse this build for free LP before she gets nerfed. In our A tier, we welcome a few new members who are Tahm Kench and Illaoi. Tahm Kench recently received a rework at the start of the patch to balance out his power between competitive play and solo queue. Despite what many analysts predict, Tahm Kench became a viable top laner again, and he's comfortably sitting in A tier for top laners. Illaoi's win rate bumped up by a few percent this patch due to a lot of her favorable matchups seeing more play. She's definitely a great champion versus tanks and can easily solo carry a game. Get those tentacles. There are some notable A tier picks who are so close to making that push to S tier. Those are Kayle, Nasus, Aatrox, and Hecarim. If these champions receive more changes like they have in the past couple of patches and get some love, they could easily push their way up one tier. For patch 9.9, our analysts recommend you pick up Vladimir in the top lane. Although it's true that his win rate is pretty underwhelming compared to his strength, he is still one of the most broken champions in the game and actually won't be receiving any nerfs in the next couple of patches. To add some icing to the cake, he does an insane amount of damage and is relatively easy to play for how strong he is. Try him out in your next few games and enjoy pulling your way into the next division. Alright, let's move on to the jungle. The jungle sees a ton of changes to the tier list for our mid-patch analysis video. This is mainly due to the fact that there is a meta-shifting change from the Scuttle Crab changes, making it extremely hard for our analysts to flawlessly predict the upcoming meta. In our S tier, we have Hecarim, Rammus, Karthus, Kindred, and Rek'Sai. Our analysts were correct in keeping Hecarim in S tier despite some heavy nerfs to his Q and his E. Hecarim is still the best jungler in the game for solo queue currently, and you really should try him out. Heavy farming champions such as Karthus and Kindred are also doing well right now because of how much slower the early game jungle pathing has become. Speaking about some of the paths for jungle on patch 9.9, now that there were those Scuttle Crab changes, let's talk about some A tier champions. First off, Evelynn. Her win rate has gone up an insane amount since the start of the patch, and she is so close to making that push to S tier. One of her biggest weaknesses before was her inability to contest level 2 crabs against other strong junglers. Now that crabs spawn while you're level 3, Evelynn is more than capable of dueling her counterparts and asserting dominance in the jungle. Aatrox jungle has also been seeing a lot more play since his recent rework. All the pro players are spamming it in solo queue right now, and it's been bringing them pretty good results. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some Aatrox in the jungle in the upcoming playoff games during MSI this week, because he's just too damn good. For patch 9.9, our analysts recommend you pick up Rammus in the jungle. He is one of the strongest junglers in the game right now, and the best part is he's super easy to play. You're basically looking to be an aggressive early game ganker and roll all over the map. If you're new to jungle or want to look for a new champion to main, then try out Rammus, you will not regret it. Alright, on to the mid lane. So the mid lane tier list for our mid-patch analysis video does actually have a couple of changes. Firstly, in S tier, we welcome a new member, and that is Talon. Talon's win rate has managed to go up in the past week, and he's been having a steady increase in play rate as well. It goes without saying that Talon is one of the best roaming mid laners in the game, with his E being able to move over the map, and he also has the advantage of being strong in the 1v1. Zed, Ahri, Vladimir, Kasten, and Zoe will also remain in our S tier, and you should learn a handful of them to maximize your chances of winning. Next up, in A tier, we welcome Morgana and Malzahar. Even though Morgana got nerfed at the start of the patch, her Glacial Augment plus Hextech GLP build is still decently strong and still dishes out a ton of damage and has great utility. Be aware, however, that you have to play much safer with Morgana due to the nerfs on her Black Shield. Malzahar has also been making a decent comeback into the meta out of nowhere, and he's holding a solid 53% win rate. These two champions are extremely easy, yet very effective at the same time, so they'd be perfect for those games where you get autofilled. Sylas received a small buff at the start of this patch, and he's been doing surprisingly well in the mid lane. A lot of Sylas players predicted that these buffs would not affect his stance in the meta, however, a new Korean build has appeared where you max your E second instead of W. This build has single-handedly brought Sylas to a solid A tier pick in the mid lane, and he'll likely stay that way for the next few patches. Also, as a quick note, I do want to mention that Soraka mid has been seeing a lot of play recently, but there just is not enough data to place her into our tier list. She'll most likely be on the next tier list in patch 9.10 if she is still good enough, so stay tuned for that. Click that sub button. For this current patch, our challenger analysts recommend that you pick up Aurelion Sol. He's the best roaming champion in the game, right up there with Talon, and nothing below Diamond knows how to play against him, because most of them don't even know what his abilities do. You just don't really see him that often. On top of that, Sol got indirectly buffed this patch due to the Scuttlecrab spawn timer changes. He can now hard push the first few waves with his W, and then recall just in time to make it back before a Scuttle fight happens. Having those extra items and full health and full mana means that these small skirmishes can be game changing for him. Try him out and let us know how that goes down below. Alright, on to the ADC and bottom lane tier list. There's a few changes to the A and S tier this time, even though there were 0 balance changes made in patch 9.9. In S tier, we welcome our newest member, Draven. Draven's win rate has been steadily increasing, and it's finally safe to put him into our S tier. He does a crap ton of damage, and is one of the best ADCs for ranked if you master him. We also welcome back Ezreal into our S tier for this patch. He got indirectly buffed due to the Manamune changes, and he's definitely an S tier pick once again. A lot of the Korean challenger players have been building Hextech Gunblade after their Trinity Force and Manamune to get more burst and some sustain. This build path is a bit situational, but should work decently in most games. Let's talk about Vayne next. So Vayne is sitting at the top of our tier list by herself in the S+ tier. She has been long overdue for a nerf, and it's finally confirmed to get one very soon. There were some changes that the balance team had in mind for her on the PBE, but it appears that they have been reverted. Vayne is a must pick or ban champion in the bottom lane right now, and you should abuse her before she gets nerfed. Just be careful though, she has a decently high skill cap, so you might want to practice her in normals beforehand. In our A tier, we have Lucian, Twitch, Ashe, Misfortune, and Caitlyn. Some of you are probably wondering why Lucian dropped into our A tier when he was S for so long. Well, with the recent increase and win rate to Ezreal and Draven, we had to remove the weakest member of our S tier, which just so happened to be Lucian. He's still a borderline S and A tier champion and can be easily considered S by high elo players, and he'll most likely make the push back up to his original spot in the coming patches, so stay tuned for that. For 9.9, we recommend that you pick up Kai'Sa in the bottom lane. She's super strong in the right hands, and her early evolves that she gets are a really good feeling in game. Her laning is decent, but she gets really strong on her early power spikes when she becomes a 1v9 machine. You'll have to try her out and you won't regret it. And finally, we have our supports. The support tier list remains pretty similar to the list that we had at the start of the patch. In S tier, we have Nautilus, Thresh, Nami, Morgana, and Pyke. Nautilus has been appearing all over the world in every role except for ADC, but he's by far the best at support. Pro players have been going either full AP or full tank with him, and it's been bringing them some great results. He's taken up solo queue by storm and is fairly easy to play, so make sure you pick him up for supports. Next, we still have our Sona and Taric duo combo that remains untouched this patch. Although their win rate in competitive play is super high, they just aren't that great for solo queue unless you have a really solid team or duo partner. On top of all of that, this combo just requires a lot of communication for synchronized macro play, which does make it even harder to pull this off successfully. At the beginning of 9.9, we saw reworks to a lot of supports, such as Blitzcrank, Tahm Kench, Soraka, and Rakan, who all had massive changes to their kits. Despite all of this, they still hold a similar stance in the meta, and are only a tiny bit stronger than their previous iteration. Lastly, Morgana has been moved back up into S tier due to her win rate being untouched after the massive Black Shield nerfs. She will be recommended this patch, so go try her out. Alright, that's going to be it for our mid-patch analysis video for 9.9. If you enjoyed watching this, then make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to be notified of our next video. Also, check out our previous videos on the 6 best jungle paths and OP Korean builds for patch 9.9 if you want to maximize your chances at winning. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the Rift.